audiences in an understandable format, and that's why he's here for us. Thereby, over to you, Satya.
Thank you, Annapurna. It's a great introduction. Can you please confirm if you can hear my voice?
Yeah, you can continue.
It's clear. Awesome. Let me quickly share my screen. And there, you should be able to see my screen. Please let me know once you see.
Yeah, we're able to see.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. First, I'd like to congratulate Salesforce Users Group Chennai. Have a very long time affinity with Chennai. Whenever I get an opportunity to speak at the Chennai developer group, admin group, I never miss the opportunity. So is today as well. And thank you, Anand, for inviting me to this event as one of the speakers. I'm privileged to do that. And thank you everyone who joined us today. And today's session is all about Salesforce latest release updates and roadmap. There are a few surprises in between. So let's see what we have. To get started, I've already been introduced, so but still let me tell about myself. For those who don't know me, I'm Satya. I'm a Salesforce developer advocate. As part of my job, I motivate the developers to build applications on the platform. Not only as part of my job, even myself, I'm in this job today because of my interest of spreading the knowledge, and I love the way the developers use their skills to build the applications on Salesforce platform. And before even I start presenting the things, I'd like to thank each and everyone who is here today attending this session. And the people who are not attending the session, I'd also like to thank everyone who, in fact, making this platform so awesome as it is today. So this platform is not built in a day or a 2 year or two. It has built over a period of time with a lot of hard work by all the trailblazers. So I thank each and everyone for making this platform and making things happening the way they are happening today. With that, let's get into our session. Yep, this is no slides today. This is what I thought of. I just don't want to put any slides today, but you can see the Astro is a bit surprised. So what I've done is I'll come up with a few slides so that Astro is happy and we are happy. So let's get into our very first of the few slides. So that is a very interesting slide. That is a forward-looking statement. Hopefully, many of you might have seen this slide. I don't know how many of you have ever tried to read this slide. If at all, then you should put it in the chat. I'd like to see your names, whoever has read this slide fully. But for those who did not read, I just want to tell what is the summary of this slide. It's all about whatever you are talking today, about the platform, about the features, that may be available on the platform, may not be available, may be forward looking, maybe you might see those features sometime later, maybe they are in beta or pilot at the moment. So if you are making any purchase decisions, please don't base your decisions on whatever I'm talking today. Rather, you make your purchase decisions on what are currently available on the platform. And our agenda for today's session is pretty simple. I don't want to take too much of time, but at the same time, nothing can be completed in a very short time as well. So probably I'll take some 25 minutes or so to complete my session, where I would like to talk about the approach to the release. So I have prepared this slide yesterday. The thing is, the time we are at the moment is something where we are waiting for spring 22 release, and today I'm going to talk about winter 22 release. So it's the latest release as of today, but probably after months time, spring 22 might be the latest release. So this is the best time to really plan your approach whenever you are approaching a release. How do you plan to use the features? How do you plan to learn the features and all? I'm going to share some resources as well for you to get started with whatever release, not just Spring 22, any future release. If you follow these simple steps, that will be easy for you to get started with any kind of new features on the Salesforce platform. I'll be then talking about, we will do a quick recap of the latest features that are from the winter 22, both for the users, admins, as well as the developers, and also a bit for the architects if possible. And then we'll be talking about a bit about the product roadmap. So what are the features that are currently available and what are the features that are coming up, maybe in next release, maybe in future releases. With that said, let's get into our planning approach. So one of the first thing that you need to do is um, join the release readiness Trailblazers community group. Understand with the previous session that how important it is to be in the community group. Thanks to all the trailblazers in the different community groups who are really watching us and helping us in different ways. One of the example is right here, the Release Readiness Trailblazers community group. That is the group which talks about um, what release is coming, when it is coming, what are the key dates, how do you approach to the release, what are the resources that you can follow. So these are the different things that are shared by this community group. And the next thing is you can watch the admin and developer blogs. That's where we can find the key dates of the upcoming release. For instance, if Spring 22 is coming up, so what are the key dates? What are the dates you'll have to that you can check to see when the features will be available for you to get started. And the third step I would say is take the release highlights trail on the trailhead. That's where we group some of the highlights of the release features which are most prominent, and then put it together for you, so that you can easily follow and understand what's more important, and then just get started with those things. And the other site I would recommend is salesforce.com/releases. This is the site where you can see the product demos and all. It's only a slide at the moment. I'll show all of these things in my browser as well, so don't worry. And once you are well acquainted with at least some of the highlights of the release, then that's the time when you can dive deep into the release notes and see what are the features that are there, which might be useful immediately in your projects and all. And finally, I would also advise you to follow the blogs in both developer and admin websites for the release highlights, where we'll be putting the most important points in an easily understandable format for you to get started. So let me quickly go and let me know if you can see my browser window. Hopefully you can. So this is the Trailblazer community group. It's loading. Yeah, Release Readiness Trailblazer community group. If at all you haven't joined yet, I advise you better go and join this group. And this is a group where you can see the announcements, okay, all about the new releases and all. So here you can see Jacinta says that the pre-release sign up is live. So for Spring 22, the pre-release org is already there. If you want to get started even before reading the release notes, this is the time. You can just get started by signing up for a free edition there. And then you can, as I said earlier, you can watch the admin and developer group blogs, where we'll be publishing some key dates which will be useful for you to get started with the release. As I said, we are at a time where we are almost ready to get started with the Spring 22 release, though we don't have any features listed here at the moment, because the release notes is due only on 22nd December. So this is the date when you can see the release notes for Spring 22. But until then, if you want to get started, pre-release org is already there since yesterday. So these are some important dates. Similarly, you can see the dates where sandbox preview starts, when the release site will be available, when the release modules will be available, and all, when you can switch and start using those things. So this is one important blog, I would say, you go back and refer to, or probably take a screenshot of it to keep track of what's coming up next. And the other one is release highlights trail on Trailhead. Generally, what we do is whenever we do a release, we run a campaign called Learn More. That's where you can also probably earn one of the 5 certificates we generally give away to the developers, where we provide you to get started, whether you're an admin or a developer. We have a separate trail modules for you to get started. For instance, if you are a developer, you can go here and get started with the developer trails. As I said, as of today, Winter 22 is the latest release. So I'm showing this for the Winter 22. So these are the different things that you have. So you can see how to register for the Release Readiness Live. This is one of the show which will be for say 1 hour, where our experts, the product managers, will be speaking about the features that they have introduced in this particular release. And then you can also see how to get prepared for the release readiness, how to adopt the strategies. And then there will also be a sequence of blocks that will be helpful, which will be writing about various aspects of or various features of that particular release. For instance, here we have release highlights for developers, and then mobile enhancements and some more release items here. We'll see a couple of features which in fact I like, and hopefully most of you also like, in a short while in the demo. And the other thing I was talking about, the Salesforce.com release site. This is the site where you can find various clouds and demos of those clouds. So you can see there are different tiles here. Like say, for instance, you have sales style where you have the features listed here as bullet points. Okay, and you can go ahead and watch the demo where you can see a real end-to-end demo demonstrating all of these features there. Okay, similarly, you can find the platform developer features and all. So these are different sites that you can visit. Again, I would let you take a screenshot of um, what are the different links that you have here. But again, before we go back to our slides, I want to show one more site, which is the actual site, the release notes. Okay, this is what you refer. So most of you might already be using it, like no. Release, most of you know that the release notes has been moved to Salesforce Help, from where you can easily navigate through different aspects of the release notes. For instance, if you are a developer, you can get into the development and see what has come up for the developers in different areas like Lightning components, instance search, and all. And not only that, you can also see the release notes for the current release or any of the previous releases. So currently, Winter 22 is the current release. So from here, you can see the release. Okay, with that, let's once go back to the slides. Hopefully. So let me go here. So this is one slide. I would say you can take a screenshot of it, and then you can visit various sites here. Probably after my session, I'll also share the different links for you to get started. I'll just share those links in the chat there. With that, let's get into the admin updates. Again, as I said, it's not going to be too many slides. So one slide I have is admin updates. The next one is obviously the developer updates. So I don't have any slide for the admin updates. Why? Because we have one link which is really helpful. One of the blogs written by, let me go here. So we have one of the blogs in the admin website where my favorite Jennifer has summarized all the features that are available for both users and admins. So let's quickly review this blog and see what are the features that are released for the users and admins during the Winter 22 release. The first one is you can now control the objects users see in the instance search. Generally, what happens is instance search has some default set of criteria. It is going to find the results from various objects. But if you want to make sure that it should definitely include a certain subset of objects or a certain set of objects in this search, you can do that by adding those objects here. So you can go to your setup and say instance search, and once you go here, you can take all the objects from here and then just make sure that these objects are available in your instance search. And she has put with a very nice zip files here, so no need of explanation. Even it is highly intuitive. I would advise you to go back and go through this blog if you have not done so earlier, where you can find all the features that are available in Winter 22 release, both pilot features, beta features, as well as the generally available features. For those who don't know what are pilot features, some of the features even before putting it in the beta will allow that particular software to be tested by a certain group of users. If at all you want to participate in any of the pilot programs, you can go and contact your Salesforce account executive. He can arrange for you to get into the pilot programs. And the next feature is this is one of the things you might be seeing when you get into the activity tab. Earlier, let me quickly see if my homepage is open here. Home. Let me open sales. If I go to, then if I say contacts, open a specific contact. So this is the activity tab where now you can see upcoming and overdue. Earlier, there was no way to order the activities. It used to show only the latest at the top and then older activities at the bottom. But if you want, now you can adjust it. You can arrange, filter the activities in this list. Maybe you want to see only last 7 days activities or all activities, or you may want to have the older dates first, newest dates second, next, so on and so forth. So you have a better control. So this is one feature. Similarly, let me go through some of the very important features which I like, which are generally available. But still, if you want, these are the features which are available in the beta, in the gauge charts. You can have now we have an improved gauge chart where you can compare the current value with the target value. That way you can give a better comparison of the sales output. And then in your email template, now you can have rows and columns. So it's not just a simple HTML. You can just keep on you can have a template where you can select from any of these layouts. Like you have 6 layouts, you can drag and drop the layout, and then you can just populate your HTML page. That way you can create a very nice user-friendly email templates. And then the indentation is also allowed in your email template builder at the moment with the latest release. And for the mobile users, you have a good news. You can have a mobile home as one of the navigation items. And then once you have that mobile home, if you open your Salesforce app on your mobile, you can see home, in which you can see the records just like in your desktop environment. Likewise, you also have this is a beta feature where you can have a full width supported for your tablet if you're opening any of your pages in your tabs. And I love this statement by Jennifer. It's she always says Flohana, because we always look for the flow features. If you're an admin or user, flows is like your heartbeat. You can create a lot of automations using flows. So she has specifically mentioned the flow enhancements. And again, I'll let you go back and refer to these flow enhancements. One of the beta features in the flow enhancements is the flow orchestrator. So this is the one where you can have some of the flows as part of a flow. What I mean here is, so here you can see this is a flow, right? And this flow has some subflows. So each of these individual components are flows by themselves. So now with this flow builder, you can have any of your existing flows, and you can conditionally call those flows. So now you are making a flow of flows. So with this flow orchestrator, again, it is in beta. So test it and see, and also share the feedback with the product managers so that this product can be improved. And then we have a targeted in-app guidance. Now we can, that in-app guidance is there for almost 2 years now. So here, if you see, this particular in-app guidance is pointing to a specific component here. So you can do that. You can configure in-app guidance in such a way that it can point to a specific component in your page. And then so you can also use the in-app guidance now in your setup if you want to show a step-by-step process for someone to really deploy something and start using it. You can even do that using the in-app guidance. And one feature before we get into the developer features is the metrics. You can see the org specific metrics in your performance improvements guide, where in the Lighting app builder you can see the page performance metrics. So for instance, let me show it in action. Maybe I'll show one of the components. Let me open a So if you have any page, this might be more useful for the administrators as well as the developers. If you have any specific page where you are using the third-party JavaScript or third-party CSS, uh, in those pages, for instance, let me go to contacts, and at the same time, wherever you are using the record edit form, when you go to that page and open the app builder, now with Winter 22 release, you'll see a new tip here at the bottom. Yeah, here you can see a tip which says page analysis. So what it does is it is going to measure your page performance. Okay. So whenever you're using CSS, it shows the page performance, how it performs in your desktop environment, and also how it performs in the mobile environment, and how each of these components that are laid in your page are performing is displayed here. So this is going to be really helpful for you to tune any of your CSS, or if you are using any external JavaScript libraries, you can tune and see which library fits better. And also you can tune your CSS so that you can improve your page performance. So these are the various admin highlights. And again, as I said, most of these highlights are shown in a GIF format. And my intention here today is to enable you to really go through it and do it rather than putting it in slides and showing a short demo there. The next thing we are going to talk about is, again, the developer updates. So one of the updates in the for even for the admins is the dynamic interaction. So let me show it in action. Okay, so let me go back. So I have created a simple demo here where I have a lighting data table. Okay, and let me go here. Let me edit page. Probably I've already defined some interaction. Okay, what we'll do is let's first see how it works. Now here I have two components. One component here called data table dynamic interaction, and another component here contact info. Both are Lightning Web components, which as a developer I have built it. Okay. Now when I click any of this component, it shows the information here about that particular. Like now I've clicked the record, it shows this information. How is it possible? This is possible by using the events. So we have various tabs here. Though for those who don't know LWC recipes, it is one of the sample apps for you to get started with the Lightning Web components, where you can find some short recipes, which you can directly, that code you can directly copy in any of your projects, make some modifications, and see if that fits your requirement. You can use it. So it's like an open source where you can see how it works and then see the logic, copy the logic, and implement your logic. And that's how it's. I generally develop any of the Lightning Web applications. So here I have a component, I have another component, and when I click this component shows that specific information. Okay, so this is done using events till before Winter 22, pre-Winter 22 release. This can only be implemented by a developer. But now with Winter 22 release with dynamic interactions, even an administrator can do that. How he can do? So he can go here, edit the page. And if you see this component, I have a component here, data table dynamic interaction component. I have another component, contact info component. When I click this, we all know that we can see the properties on the right side. So contact info component properties. But when I click this data table dynamic interaction component, you can see a new tab here called interactions tab. This is totally new. And this is possible. It shows this tab because the developer, when he has built this Lightning Web component, has exposed this component for interactions. So he has exposed some events, custom event that is created for this component, which an admin can use to connect these two components. So what I've done is I have created an interaction here. For instance, let's create a new interaction. Let's use one more component which I created. Maybe I have a contact sticker, which shows some contact information. Now I added a contact sticker here. Okay, let me do that. I have a contact sticker. Let me save it. Let us go back. And Now let's click this, select one of the row. You can see this information is showed here, but it is not being showed in the contact sticker. Now, as an admin, let's configure a communication between these two components. How you do that? It's pretty simple. Let's go to edit page. For your component here, when I click this component and let's go to interactions. Here, let's create a new interaction. And you can see that it has selected data table dynamic interaction. So this is the component. And whenever an item is selected, this is the event that is going to be fried. It is going to update some properties, some public properties that will be exposed. So now let's select a component to which we want to establish a communication. Now we see here we have all the components, and you can also see where this component is located. For instance, your data table dynamic interaction is located in left region, okay, and his contact info and contact sticker are located in right region. Maybe you have 100 components in your page, so it's very easy to identify the component to which you want to establish the communication. So let's select this contact sticker component here. So this is the component I want to do, and here we'll use the dynamic syntax where I want to use this event, okay, event, and then I have exposed something called as record ID through my component in my data table dynamic interaction, and I can use that to connect this. Like whenever someone clicks that, it is going to send this information here to this component, and this component is going to process that information. And when I save it, okay, it's probably not record ID. Let's see the other interaction. I've given it some other name there. Let's refresh. Cool. Let's go here. Probably I've given a different name. Okay, let's see it in the code. But yeah, that's where we are going to give the record ID. If you see the code here. So the code is same. Whatever you're doing in your general lighting web component, you're going to do the same thing here as well. So here, the only change is I'm creating a custom event here called item selected, and it is going to dispatch this event. And then one more thing you need to do is add a event tag here in your metadata file where you're going to name the event item selected, and this is the property that I'm sending there. So probably I made a typo there. So it is the record ID. So you'll be saying event.record ID. So that record ID will be connected to this particular, this particular record ID will be sent. Whatever row you're selecting, that record ID will be sent through this custom event. And once that is sent, you can implement any of your contact info or contact sticker component here, where you can set your record ID as a public property. That's it. And start using that record ID. That's how your application works, or your Lighting Web component works. Cool. Let's not really fix it, but if you still want to see, there is probably I can do it. There is some lag in my loading of the component. It's not showing up here, but what you can do is probably you can check the Salesforce developers YouTube channel, where we have I have created a complete tutorial of how to work with this dynamic interactions. So we are doing a show called Dev Talkies, where I have shared a tip on how to do the dynamic interactions. It is in episode 8, if I'm not wrong. I'll share that information as well during the next session that's going to happen. And one more thing before I conclude the developer updates is we have something called as Socket Builder, which is generally available now. So whenever you have some in your file structure, if you have some SOQL files, for instance, I have created a scripts folder. Let me go here. If you go in my script folder, I have created a socle, and I have created a contact.socle file. Okay, so whatever file you create, when you create a .socle file, it automatically opens the socle builder for you. Now it is generally available, and you can dynamically create your socle queries. For instance, I want to create a socle query for my contact, so I can say contact, and you can see on the right side it is building my socle query. And in the contact, I want to have fields like say ID. I can search for that field, and I want to show first name, and I can keep adding more fields, and I can also add the where conditions. When I do this, it dynamically creates a query for me, and if I run this query, it shows all of that information here. Okay, now you can further work on this query. Maybe I want to see first name. I want to check a condition, first name, where uh, I want to put a filter. I want to say where first name. Let me search for first name equal to maybe Amy. Okay, and I can go run the query. You can see that it has run the query and it showed the information only Amy. Now, if you want to use this socket query in your files, what you can do is you can see this icon which can switch between the socket builder and the socket file. If you click this icon, you can have the query here. You can directly copy this query from here and then paste it in your Apex code. At the same time, if you want to export the data or import the data, you can also generate a CSV file or a .json file. For instance, I can generate a .json file and save it somewhere on my desktop. And if I open on the desktop, if you see, yes, it has created a JSON file for you. Okay, so what you can do is you can write a query here, run the query, and if you want some data to be exported in JSON or CSV format, you can do that, or also you can copy the code from here into your actual code. In fact, I wanted to share a lot of other developer features as well, but one feature I want to show you before going forward or before concluding this session is let me open the release notes. So basically, when we do the releases, right, we give out the developer features, we give out the admin features, we give out the features for the users and all. And again, for the developers, for development, you can find the features here, like Lightning components, Einstein, Visual Force, and all. But if you want to look into the platform developer tools, it is little different because platform developer tools has a weekly release cadence. Okay, it's not about once in 4 months. Normally we have 3 release cycles, right? So once in 4 months. For developer tools, it's not so. It's going to be a weekly release cadence. So you need not really wait for the next release to check for the updates for the developer tools. So what you can do is you can open the reset release notes, go to the developer platform tool section here. Okay, right here you can find the links for the Visual Studio Code updates as well as the Salesforce CLI updates. You can open these links, both for Visual Studio Code and Salesforce CLI, and here you can see the logs. Here you can see the features that are recently added. For instance, if you are, this is one of the features which is added on December 16th, yesterday. Okay, where you can enable use of anonymous Apex execution code lengths. So basically, when you are writing the Apex code as an anonymous Apex, in the like with .apex folder here, like if you see here, I can write my anonymous Apex in this script/Apex folder, just like hello.apex. You can do that, and it is going to show a code length, like a small feature above your method call wherever, from where you can just select the text and run it. You need not really run it from the command palette. Likewise, you can see some of the features that are added and some of the features that are fixed. So you can see all of these things both in your both for your Visual Studio Code as well as for the CLI. You can also see the CLI here. So now you know that we have unified CLI as a beta feature. So that is one of the newest CLI, which was introduced in the last release, and it's still beta in the Winter 22 release, where you can run your CLI commands across multiple clouds. Normally, when you do the SFDX, right, you do it for this cloud. So you can use SF namespace, SF commands across multiple clouds. So now we have separate release notes for both SFDX commands, like SFDX force commands, whatever you are using. We have a release notes for that, and we also have a release notes for SF. If you had already gone through any of these release features, or like your Winter 22 release notes, probably you'd have noticed that Salesforce Functions is also generally available now. When we released the release notes at that time, it was in transition over a period of months' time. The Salesforce Functions was made generally available, and now you can also try it out. Like, that's one of the asks from the developers. They wanted to try the Salesforce Functions. Normally, we need to have a Salesforce Functions license, but without license, if you want to try, you can do it now. You have something called a Salesforce local development. We have a very nice blog written by Julian in developer.salesforce.com website, where you can refer to that blog. And it's like a tutorial for you. You can just get started using the Salesforce Functions. Again, so for writing the Salesforce Functions, you will be using the unified CLI SF. So you can find the release notes for the SF here. Okay, so that's almost a lot. In fact, I wanted to talk a lot about these things, but again, in the interest of time, if you have any questions, probably towards the end of the event or end of the session, I can take any of your questions. I can talk a lot about other features as well. If you have any questions about other features, you can ask those features. Again, the last thing we are going to talk about is roadmaps. So now we know where to look for the release features, how to get started with the release, and how to work with the various features and all. Now, how about roadmap? So as I said, one important site which you might want to bookmark is admin website, admin.salesforce.com. The other one is developer website, developer.salesforce.com. And the third one is architect website, which is architect.salesforce.com. So this architect website was introduced exactly 1 year back. And here you can find something called as roadmap. Actually, Dreamforce, we announced a lot of roadmaps. Now, even I personally look forward to product managers to understand what is roadmap of a specific feature. Whenever a developer asks me about a specific feature, I would say, like, no, I'll go back, talk to the product manager and get back to you. But now, from the architect website, you can look at the roadmap yourself and see what's coming up in the future releases. So you have a new item here called product roadmaps. If you click this item, so here you can see the product roadmaps. Currently, only for the Lightning experience, we have the roadmap, but there are plans to have roadmaps for other clouds and other aspects as well. So stay tuned. Keep watching this site for more experiences as well, more clouds as well. But yeah, here you can see a product area, like whether it's customization or it is development or instant. You can see the product area, and you can see a feature and what is its status. What is its status in the previous release? Say previous to Winter 22 was Summer 21 release. What is its status in the next release and also in future? For instance, if you see this feature, dynamic forms was in beta in Summer 21, but now it is available as a GA feature, generally available feature. Okay. Likewise, we can see some of the features are in pilot here, and some of the features are in, like, which are going to come in future, like future roadmaps. So these are all in the roadmaps, like lists and Rolodex on lists and then live lists and all. And for each of these features, you can see what this feature is exactly. Okay, it also shows the information like what is this feature and where it applies, whether it applies to the Lightning experience or it applies to all editions and all, whatever you see in your release notes. And not only that, you can see some of these features listed in like links in blue color. If you click that, it's going to take you to the help page, and you can look into the help or the documentation of that particular release feature. Okay, I clicked, and as I said, my system is really slow today. But yeah, so here you can see the help page for that particular release item. Not only that, if you are interested in a specific release area, maybe you're interested in only Einstein, you can search for the product area, Einstein product area. You can filter that and see what are the features that have come up for the Einstein. If you are a user or an admin, you just want to see the customization, you can also do that. Or if you are looking for a specific feature, you can also type the feature name here and search for it. So this is an interesting tool, right? And thanks to the architect.salesforce.com and the architects like Mark Brega and the evangelists there who made it possible. And now you can watch the roadmaps by yourself. With that, I think I took a lot of time. Hopefully that was useful, though. Let me get back to my presentation. One last slide, that is thank you. But again, if you have any questions, you can ask questions at any point of time. You can probably put your questions in the chat window as well. If at all I can answer the questions, I'll do it right away. If not, I'm also available on Twitter. You can send me a direct message at Satya SFDC where I can answer your questions as well. With that, I will hand it over.
Thank you, Satya. Yes, as you said, we have time now also for the people to put down their questions if they have. So, team, if you have any queries, you can post it in the chat. So, Satya or others, like whoever, will be able to address that. If you guys can post your queries, we will be
Yeah.
addressing it now.
Again, it was a fast run through, if I'm not wrong. So hopefully, if you have any questions, you can always post it. My intention here is not to really teach you anything today. My intention is to make you or enable you on how to go through the release notes, not just Winter 22, not just Spring 22, any of the future releases as well. At the same time, whenever we have a release, we do something like release readiness live, as I shared in my very first slide. So that's one place where you can get started and understand how to do the things. But again, as I said, please post your questions. I'll be answering it in the
Yeah,
chat.
I can see few queries. I'll start reading them, Satya. Yeah, one
Sure.
from Madan Mohan Reddy. I'm new to Salesforce learning admin through YouTube. I saw some news to eradicate the workflow and process builder now. So can I skip those two and then learn flows? So he's asking your views in that.
Nothing is going to go away instantly. Okay, there are some projects which are already using the process builder. So I would say, and again, a process builder is an automation tool. If you see the flow builder, I would say a superset of process builder. So if at all you are learning anything about the process builder, it's not going to go in vain. And flow as a superset, I would advise you can just get started with the flow. The latest implementations anyway you're going to do with the flow, whatever we do in process builder, almost all of those things can be done with the flows, right? So flow is more than sufficient, but at the same time, if you have a knowledge of process builder, if any of the existing processes, they will still continue until we do it. And I don't know. Again, I even saw it through Twitter only, so I haven't heard anything about it from the product managers in detail. So let's wait for that news. But again, as I said, you can get started with the flow builder and also see process builder is not that difficult. It's pretty simple to learn. Once you understand flow builder, I don't see any reason that you don't understand process builder. So go for it.
Okay. Hope Madan you were addressed for that. So next there are two queries from Aishwarya M. Going with the first query, sir, I would like to have a query. Just curious to understand why Salesforce do releases often. As thinking from customer point of view, it's a cost for the customer to implement it, even if they are not much in need of it. Like say for example the MFA.
By the way, I missed the name. What was the name?
Sorry,
What was her name?
Aishwarya.
Aishwarya, it's a nice question. Really, I love the question that you asked. Uh, and so, yeah, why so many releases? Why three releases a year? Okay. Why we should keep updated? Releases are not to make your life tough, but releases are done to make your life easy. Okay. So, whatever you've been doing so far with something like, maybe say with through three different tools, with a new release, new feature, you might be able to do it with a single tool. Probably if you're writing to implement a feature in say 100 lines, with the new feature, you might be able to implement it with 30 lines. So that is going to improve the performance and efficiency, and also the amount of time that is needed to build the applications. Again, it's both developers and customers might be looking for such features. Okay, so I'll give you one example. So, for instance, lighting web components and Aura. We used to develop the user interface using Aura. Aura was pretty good. The way the user interface changed, in fact, drastically changed the user interface. Before that, we used to use Visual Force, and then we started using Aura. And then again, there are so many advancements in the web technology. There are the most of the features have been standardized in the browser standards. So what Salesforce does is Salesforce adapts the future technology and be ready for whatever comes in the future. So that way, we have the new standard way of implementing the user interface, like Lightning Web Components, though we still support the Aura components. So with Lightning Web Components, right, you can create the user interfaces much easily, and also the dependency is reduced. That way, like, you can create the components just by using basic HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So this is a new feature, but again, it's an advantage to the developer, not only developer, even for the customer. The performance is increased by, like, say, uh, 2x or 3x times, depending upon the page, the number of components in the page, when they are migrated from the Aura components to the Lightning Web components. So again, so the bottom line is, so the releases are to make your life easy, but not to make your life tough. And the features are easy to learn. That's why we provide so many resources for you to easily ramp up with the latest features.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good answer. And there's another query followed by the same person. I want to know why feed comment is not supported in flows. We have to write code for this object for all the requirements of it. The feed comment.
Again, I'm not really a great master of flows, but again, if you feel that feature is not available, and I would advise, I can get you to the right product manager who can be helpful, and you can also, like, uh, uh, let it know. You can probably ask for that in the tweets, and you can send me a DM. I'll definitely look into that in detail, and try to answer your query in detail. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hope the queries are answered, Aishwarya. Okay, I'll just move on to another query. Okay. So this is a query from Saifuddin Travidi. As an admin, what should be the best approach to prepare for Platform Developer 1 certification? What areas we need consider, and where we need to focus first to learn about coding?
Cool. So for that, I would say you can, in fact, go to admin.salesforce.com. That is the best website where they show you three-step process generally, like, read, watch, and learn. I don't exactly remember the third step. Basic three-step process with which you can get started. And again, Trailhead is the best platform. You can go to the Trailhead, and you can, if you go to the trailhead.salesforce.com, you also have the trails which are like career specific as an admin. If you want to really get started, so you can go and search for the career paths here. Go to the admin path and see what are the concepts that are required for any Salesforce administrator. It also gives you the guidance on, what are the things that you need to prepare in order to clear your platform one certification, admin certification here. So it shows you, how to get started. If you want to get started with your, admin career path here, so it gives a step-by-step process. I would advise you to go through this page once, which covers a lot of information that you might want. Oh, sorry, I thought I was sharing my screen. Really bad. Let me quickly share my screen. I'm sorry about it. So if you can see my screen, you can go to trailhead.salesforce.com, go to career paths, and this is where you can find for different careers, Salesforce admin, developer, architect, and all. go to the Salesforce Administrator career. So it gives all the information about the certification and other things here, and it also gives you, like, from where you can get started with learning admin things. And here you have a trail mix where it will take you through the path of, like, how to get started, what is the first step you need to do, essential habit, so on and so forth, until you get prepared for your admin certification exam. So all of these things that you might want will be covered in this particular trailhead career path.
Okay, hope that's answered. And yeah, there's one more where I could see from Saumya Shri. Why Salesforce has chosen two different platforms like Lightning and Classic, and why not one?
Um, Again, it's a good question. So Salesforce evolved over a period of time. So this question can also be related to the question that was asked earlier. Why three releases every year? That's how it came. Like, say, when the first Salesforce platform was released in 2000 odd. So that's when the standards were all, like, were not the browsers were not so much standardized, and we need to implement some kind of user interface language. So Salesforce has come up with its own language called Visual Force, and the look and feel at that time was like not so good, so great, what we are seeing today. So we have been using that particular look and feel for a very long time. And the good part or bad part, I don't know, is the customers got used to that particular user interface. So when we have come up with this modern user experience, the lighting experience, and this can be called obviously as the classic experience, which is like a older experience. And as I said, most of the customers got used to that experience, and they're not ready to drop that experience at that moment. At this moment, so we still support that experience, classic experience. But again, if you are building something new, so it is the lighting experience on which you are going to build. Okay, so that's why classic experience is still there. It's not going to go away, but at the same time, lighting experience is the modern experience where you're going to build your applications.
Okay. Yep. Uh, yeah. Thank you for that. And I'll just move on with the next one. Where, guys, if you still have queries, you can keep posted in the chat. So we will see to that based upon a time, and then people can even respond to them in the chat as well. Yeah. So next, the speaker here is welcoming Bharti Chinnaparaj, who is a program manager from Demand Blue, and she's been with the industry for almost 18 years, and she's currently managing the Salesforce practitioner with prime focus on program management